Jake Miller stood at the large window of Nexus 7 space station and watched the stars. He had never thought he would be here. 3 months ago, he was just a former Marine working as a security guard on Earth. Now he was part of the most important meeting in human history. The space station was huge. It floated in empty space between Earth and the alien worlds. Jake could see ships from different planets docked outside. Some were long and thin like needles. Others were round like balls. The human ships looked small next to them. Nervous? Admiral Kate Sullivan walked up beside him. She was the leader of the human team. Kate was smart and tough. She had been in the Space Navy for 20 years. "A little," Jake said. He wore his best blue uniform. It felt strange after wearing battle gear for so long. "I still don't know why you picked me for this," Kate smiled. "Because you're honest. And because you're not afraid of anything. We need both of those things today." Today was the day humans would meet the Vectari Empire. The Vectari were warriors from a distant star system. They had been watching Earth for years. When humans finally built ships that could travel between stars, the Vectari decided to make contact. The Galactic Council had set up this meeting. The Council was like the United Nations, but for different alien races. Earth wanted to join. The Vectari would decide if humans were worthy. "Tell me about them again," Jake said. Kate looked out at the alien ships. The Vectari are fighters. They love war and honor. They're about 7 feet tall and have 4 arms. Their skin is like armor. They're very strong. Stronger than humans. Much stronger. But they respect courage. That's why you're here, Jake. You showed courage in the war on Mars. Jake remembered Mars. He had saved 30 people when their base was attacked. He never thought of it as brave. He just did what needed to be done. A voice came over the speakers. "All diplomatic teams to meeting room 7. The Vectari delegation has arrived." Jake and Kate walked through the station hallways. Other humans followed them. There was Dr. Lisa Park, who knew about alien medicine. There was Captain Ben Rogers, a pilot. There was also Maria Santos, who spoke many languages. The meeting room was big and round. One side had chairs for humans. The other side had different chairs for the Vectari. In the middle was a long table. Jake sat down and waited. His hands were a little sweaty. He had fought in wars, but this felt more scary. If this meeting went wrong, Earth might never join the galaxy community. The doors opened. The Vectari walked in. Jake tried not to stare. They were even bigger than he thought. Their skin was dark green and looked like the shell of a beetle. Each one had 4 arms that moved smoothly. Their faces were long with large eyes. They moved like hunters. The leader stepped forward. He was the biggest one. "I am High Marshal Thekvar," he said. His voice was deep and rough. "I speak for the Vectari Empire." Admiral Sullivan stood up. "I am Admiral Kate Sullivan. I speak for Earth. We are honored to meet you." Behind the High Marshal, Jake saw another Vectari. This one was smaller but moved with perfect control. Every step was planned. Every movement had a purpose. The other Vectari looked at this one with respect. "This is Commander Zarath Vel," the High Marshal said. "She is our finest warrior. She will judge your military worth." Commander Zarath stepped forward. She looked at each human. When her eyes met Jake's, he felt like she was seeing right through him. Her eyes were bright yellow with black centers. "Humans," she said. Her voice was clearer than the High Marshal's. "We have heard stories about you. You fight wars against your own kind. You destroy your own planet. Why should we trust you with the galaxy?" Jake felt anger rise in his chest. But Admiral Sullivan put a hand on his arm. "This was not the time to get mad. We do fight," the Admiral said. "But we also learn. We make mistakes, but we try to do better. That's what makes us human." Commander Zarath made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Words are easy. Actions matter. We will test you." For the next 2 hours, they talked about human history. The Vectari asked about wars, about governments, about how humans treated each other. Some questions were hard to answer. Jake noticed that Commander Zarath asked the smartest questions. She understood battle tactics better than some human generals he knew. When Captain Rogers talked about space battles, she nodded at the right parts. When Dr. Park explained human medicine, Zarath asked about combat injuries. "Your species is young," High Marshal Thekvar said at the end, "but you show promise. Tomorrow we will test your combat skills. If you pass, we will support your entry to the Council." The Vectari started to leave, but Commander Zarath stopped. She looked at Jake again. "You," she said. You fought on Mars, yes, Jake said, 37 enemies. You killed them all to save civilians. I did what I had to do. She stared at him for a long moment. We will see if you are truly a warrior tomorrow. After the Vectari left, the human team sat in silence. Well, Admiral Sullivan said. That could have gone worse. Jake looked out the window at the stars. Tomorrow would decide Earth's future. He hoped he was ready. The next evening, Jake stood in the grand dining hall of Nexus 7. The room was bigger than a football field. The ceiling was made of clear metal that showed the stars outside. Long tables filled the space and beings from different worlds sat together. Jake had never seen so many aliens in one place. There were tall, thin creatures with blue skin. There were short, round ones with fur. Some looked almost human, while others were so strange he couldn't figure out which end was the head. The human delegation sat at a table near the center. The Vectari sat across from them. Jake watched Commander Zareth as she ate. She used all 4 hands to handle different tools. Her movements were quick and precise. Earlier that day, the humans had passed the Vectari combat tests. It had not been easy. The Vectari had put them through war games and strategy puzzles. Jake had to fight robot opponents while protecting fake civilians. Captain Rogers had to pilot a ship through an asteroid field while under attack. Commander Zareth had watched every test. She made notes on a small device. Sometimes she nodded. Sometimes she frowned. Jake could never tell what she was thinking. The humans have done well, High Marshal Thekvar announced to the dining hall. They show courage and skill. They think like warriors. The aliens in the hall made different sounds. Some clapped. Others made clicking noises. A few howled softly. Jake guessed these were all ways of showing approval. To celebrate, the High Marshal continued, Commander Zareth will perform the Dance of Blades. This is a great honor among our people. Commander Zareth stood up. She walked to an open space in the center of the hall. 4 Vectari guards brought her weapons. Each was different. A curved sword. A straight blade. A weapon with spikes, something that looked like a metal whip. The lights in the hall dimmed. A low drum started beating. Commander Zareth picked up the first weapon. Jake had seen many fighters in his life. He had trained with the best soldiers on Earth, but he had never seen anything like what Commander Zareth did next. She moved like water. Like fire, like wind. The weapon spun around her forearms in patterns that seemed impossible. She would throw a blade high in the air, fight with the other 3 weapons, then catch the falling blade without looking. But what amazed Jake was not just her skill, it was her control. The weapons came within inches of the watching aliens. Sometimes she spun so close to the tables that Jake thought she would hit someone. But she never did, not even close. She was performing in a room full of people, but she moved like she was alone. Every strike was perfect. Every spin was exact. She was showing her deadly skill while making sure no one got hurt. The dance went on for 10 minutes. By the end, every being in the hall was silent. Commander Zareth stood in the center, breathing hard. Her 4 weapons lay in a perfect circle around her feet. The hall exploded in noise. Every alien showed approval in their own way. The Vectari banged their hands on the table. Other aliens whistled or roared. Jake clapped as hard as he could. But his mind was spinning. He had just watched something incredible. Commander Zareth was not just a warrior. She was an artist. She had turned violence into beauty. Without thinking, Jake stood up. The words came out of his mouth before he could stop them. That was amazing, he called out. The way you controlled your strength while keeping perfect form. It's actually kind of adorable. The hall went completely silent. Jake realized what he had said. He looked around. Every alien was staring at him. The Vectari delegation had gone completely still. High Marshal Thekvar's mouth was open. Commander Zareth stood in the center of the hall. Jake could see her skin changing color. The dark green was becoming lighter. Patches of pale yellow appeared on her face and arms. Oh no, Dr. Park whispered beside him. I think she's blushing. Jake didn't understand why that was bad. But the look on Admiral Sullivan's face told him he had made a big mistake. Commander Zareth dropped her eyes to the floor. For a moment she looked almost shy. Then her head snapped up. Her yellow eyes blazed with fury. She moved faster than Jake thought possible. One moment she was 20 feet away. The next moment her fist was flying toward his face. Jake had quick reflexes. He had dodged bullets and jumped from exploding buildings. But he couldn't even see Commander Zareth's punch coming. Her fist hit him like a truck. The force lifted him off his feet and sent him flying backward. He sailed over 3 tables and crashed into the far wall of the dining hall. The metal wall bent around Jake's body. He left a human-shaped dent in the reinforced steel. He slid down to the floor and didn't move. The hall was silent again. But this time it was the silence of shock. Even the Vektari delegation was staring. Jake could hear them speaking quickly in their own language. They sounded surprised, maybe even scared. High Marshal Thekvar stood up slowly. His face was pale. "Commander Zarath," he said, "what have you done?" Jake tried to sit up. His head was spinning. His whole body hurt, but he was alive. Somehow he was alive. Admiral Sullivan was running toward him. Dr. Park was right behind her with a medical kit. The other humans looked terrified. Commander Zarath still stood in the center of the hall. She was staring at the dent in the wall. At Jake, her skin had gone completely pale now. She started to say. Then she stopped. She looked at her own fist like she couldn't believe what she had done. Jake managed to stand up. He was wobbly, but nothing seemed broken. He looked across the hall at Commander Zarath. She was still staring at him. And for the first time since he had met her, she looked afraid. The diplomatic dinner was over. The question now was whether Earth's chances of joining the Galactic Council were over too. Jake woke up in the medical bay. His head felt like someone had hit it with a hammer, which he supposed was not far from the truth. Dr. Lisa Park was scanning him with a medical device. Her face was worried. "How do you feel?" she asked. "Like I got punched by a 7-foot alien warrior," Jake said. He tried to sit up. His ribs hurt, but nothing felt broken. "How long was I out?" 20 minutes. "Jake, you should be dead. That hit would have killed most humans." Jake touched his chest where Commander Zarath had punched him. There was a bruise the size of a dinner plate. "But I'm not dead." "No. And that's what has everyone confused." Admiral Sullivan walked into the medical bay. She looked angry and tired. "How is he, Doctor?" "Bruised but fine." "It's incredible. That punch should have caved in his chest." The Admiral sat down next to Jake's bed. "Jake, we need to talk. Do you know what you said to Commander Zarath?" "I called her adorable." Jake felt stupid saying it. "I was trying to give her a compliment." "Well, it didn't work. The Vektari delegation is furious. High Marshal Thekvar says you insulted their finest warrior." Jake didn't understand. How is adorable an insult? Dr. Park looked up from her scanner. "I've been studying Vektari language files. Their word for adorable translates to charmingly weak or cute in a helpless way. To a warrior culture, that's about the worst thing you can say." Jake felt sick. "So I basically called their greatest fighter weak and helpless?" "In front of hundreds of aliens," Admiral Sullivan said, "including her own people." "And she was blushing," Dr. Park added. "In Vektari culture, showing emotion in public is a sign of weakness. You made her blush, which made your words even worse." Jake laid back down. "So I ruined everything." "Maybe. The High Marshal is meeting with the Galactic Council now. They might throw us all out of the station." The door to the medical bay opened. A tall alien walked in. Jake had seen this being before. It was Counselor Vexhai, one of the leaders of the Galactic Council. The alien looked like a walking tree with silver bark. "How is the human?" Counselor Vexhai asked. "He'll live," Dr. Park said. "Remarkable. I watched the security footage. That punch would have killed most species. Humans are more durable than we thought." Admiral Sullivan stood up. "Counselor, we're very sorry about what happened. It was a cultural misunderstanding." "Yes," High Marshal Thekvar explained. "The human Jake used a word that is very insulting in Vektari language. But there is another problem." "What?" Jake asked. "Commander Zarath has requested a private meeting with you. She is very upset. She thinks she may have killed you." Admiral Sullivan frowned. "Is that safe?" "She already punched him once. She is under guard. And she has given up her weapons. But she insists on seeing him alive." Jake stood up slowly. His whole body ached. "I'll meet with her. This is my fault. I should apologize." 20 minutes later, Jake walked into a small meeting room. Commander Zarath sat at a table with her 4 hands folded. 2 Vektari guards stood behind her. She looked up when Jake entered. Her skin was still pale. When she saw him walking, her yellow eyes went wide. "You live," she said quietly. "I'm harder to kill than I look," Jake said. He sat across from her. "Commander, I'm sorry. I didn't know what that word meant in your language." She stared at him. You should be dead. I have killed many enemies with less force than I used on you. Well, humans are tough. We're good at surviving things that should kill us. Commander Zarath was quiet for a long time. Then she asked, "What did you mean when you used that word?" Jake thought carefully. In human language, adorable is a good thing. It means something is charming or sweet or endearing. I was trying to say that your dance was beautiful, that your control was impressive. You were not calling me weak? No, I was saying you were strong. So strong that you could be gentle. You had deadly weapons in a room full of people, but you kept everyone safe. That takes real power. Commander Zarath looked confused. Strength is for destroying enemies. Gentleness is weakness, not for humans. We think the strongest people are the ones who can choose not to hurt others. Anyone can break things. It takes real strength to protect things. She was quiet again. Jake could see her thinking. Your species confuses me, she said finally. You survived a blow that should have killed you. But you came here to apologize to me. Why are you not angry? Because you were defending your honor. In your culture, I insulted you. You had every right to be mad. But in your culture, you were trying to praise me. Yes. Commander Zarath made a sound that might have been a laugh. We are very different beings. Yeah, we are. But maybe that's not bad. Maybe we can learn from each other. She looked at him with those bright yellow eyes. You really think my control was... What is your word? Impressive? Very impressive. I've never seen anything like it. For the first time since Jake had met her, Commander Zarath almost smiled. Perhaps we can learn from each other, she said. The door opened. High Marshal Thekvar walked in with Admiral Sullivan and Councillor Vexhai. The Council has made a decision, Councillor Vexhai announced. The humans will be given one more chance. But they must prove they understand other cultures. High Marshal Thekvar looked at Jake. You will fight Commander Zarath in single combat. If you survive, Earth can join the Council. Jake looked at Commander Zarath. She was smiling now. It was not a nice smile. When do we fight? Jake asked. Tomorrow, the High Marshal said. Prepare yourself, human. She will not hold back this time. The training facility on Nexus 7 was built for different types of aliens. The floor could be made harder or softer. The gravity could be changed. The walls could move to make the room bigger or smaller. Today it was set up like an arena. Aliens from all over the galaxy had come to watch. They filled the seats that surrounded the fighting area. Jake had never seen so many different beings in one place. Jake stood in the center of the arena. He wore simple fighting clothes and protective gear. Across from him, Commander Zarath stretched her 4 arms. She looked calm and ready. Are you sure about this? Admiral Sullivan asked through Jake's earpiece. You don't have to prove anything. Yes, I do, Jake said quietly. If I don't fight, Earth will never be trusted. Everyone will think humans give up when things get hard. High Marshal Thekvar stood up in the viewing area. This is single combat between species, he announced. The human Jake Miller will fight Commander Zarath Vel. The rules are simple. Fight until one cannot continue. No weapons. No killing. Jake looked up at the crowd. Hundreds of alien faces stared down at him. Most looked curious. Some looked worried. A few looked hungry like they wanted to see blood. The fight begins now, the High Marshal called. Commander Zarath moved first. She was fast, but this time Jake was ready. He rolled to the side as her punch flew past his head. The air moved from the force of her strike. Jake had studied videos of Vekatari fighting all night. They were strong and fast, but they fought in straight lines. They expected enemies to meet them head-on. Jake had different plans. He stayed low and moved in circles around her. When she punched, he ducked. When she grabbed, he slipped away. He was not trying to hurt her yet. He was learning her patterns. Commander Zarath grew frustrated. She was used to enemies that stood and fought. Jake kept moving, always just out of reach. Stand still and fight, she growled. This is how humans fight, Jake said. He jumped over a sweeping kick. We adapt. The crowd was getting excited. They had expected the fight to end quickly. Instead, the small human was making the great Vektari warrior look clumsy. Commander Zarath changed tactics. She used all 4 arms to attack from different angles. Jake couldn't dodge everything. Her fist caught him in the shoulder and spun him around. Her foot hit his leg and sent him rolling, but Jake got back up. He always got back up. Stay down, Commander Zarath said. She was breathing hard now. You cannot win this fight. Maybe not, Jake said. Blood ran from his nose. But I won't quit, he charged at her. It was the first time he had attacked directly. Commander Zarath was surprised. Jake hit her in the stomach with his shoulder. It was like hitting a wall, but she took a step back. Jake grabbed her lower arms and used them to swing himself around behind her. He jumped on her back and wrapped his arms around her neck. Commander Zarath reached back with her upper arms to grab him. But Jake was already moving again. He dropped down and swept her legs. She stumbled but didn't fall. The crowd was making noise now. Different aliens cheered in different ways. Some buzzed. Some howled. Some clicked their teeth. For 20 minutes they fought. Commander Zarath was stronger and faster. But Jake was tougher and more creative. Every time she knocked him down, he got back up. Every time she thought she had him trapped, he found a new way to escape. Jake's body was covered in bruises. His lip was cut. His left eye was swelling shut. But he kept fighting. Commander Zarath was tired now. She had never fought an enemy who wouldn't stay down. Her people were used to quick, brutal fights. This human just kept coming. Why? She asked during a break in the action. Why do you not surrender? You cannot defeat me. Jake wiped blood from his mouth. Because surrender is not in human nature. We don't know how to quit. But you are in pain. You are injured. Pain means I'm still alive. Injuries heal. Giving up lasts forever. Commander Zarath stared at him. Something changed in her yellow eyes. You are not fighting to win. No, Jake said. I'm fighting to show you who humans are. She was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. I understand now. Commander Zarath attacked again, but differently this time. She was not trying to end the fight quickly. She was testing Jake, seeing how much he could take, learning what humans were made of. Jake realized what she was doing. This was not just a fight anymore. It was a conversation. She was asking questions with her fists, and he was answering with his refusal to quit. They fought for another 10 minutes. By the end, both were exhausted. Commander Zarath's forearms hung at her sides. Jake could barely stand. The crowd had gone silent. They were watching something they had never seen before. A fight where both fighters were winning. Commander Zarath looked at Jake. He was swaying on his feet. Blood dripped from a dozen cuts. But his eyes were still clear. Still determined. I yield, she said quietly. The crowd gasped. Jake stared at her in shock. What? He asked. I yield, she said louder. This human has shown me something I did not expect. Strength is not just about power. It is about will. This human's will cannot be broken. She walked over to Jake and held out one of her hands. Jake was so surprised he almost forgot to take it. You did not defeat me in combat, she said, but you defeated my understanding of weakness. Humans are not weak. They are something else, something we do not have a word for. Jake shook her hand. His own hand was tiny compared to hers. Stubborn, he said. The word you're looking for is stubborn. Commander Zarath made that sound that might have been a laugh. Stubborn, she repeated. Yes, I think I like stubborn humans. High Marshal Thekvar stood up. The combat is complete, he announced. Both fighters have shown honor. The Vektari Empire will support Earth's entry into the Galactic Council. The crowd exploded in noise. Aliens cheered and whistled and roared. Jake sat down hard on the arena floor. His whole body hurt, but he was smiling. Commander Zarath sat down next to him. Jake Miller, she said. You are the strangest warrior I have ever met. You're not so bad yourself, Jake said. For someone who punches adorably. Commander Zarath was quiet for a moment. Then she started laughing. It was a strange sound, but Jake could tell it was real joy. Adorable, she said. I think I am beginning to understand this word. Jake laughed too, even though it hurt his ribs. Yeah, you're getting there. 6 months later, Jake stood on the bridge of the UNS Liberty, Earth's newest deep space ship. Through the large windows, he could see a Vektari battlecruiser flying beside them. The two ships moved together like partners in a dance. Commander Zarath is here, Captain Ben Rogers said. Jake turned to see the tall alien warrior walking onto the bridge. She wore a modified human uniform that fit her forearms. Good morning, Jake, she said in perfect English. Her accent was still thick, but she was learning fast. Morning, Zarath. How are the language lessons going? Better. Dr. Park says I am almost fluent in human sarcasm. She made that laughing sound. I still do not understand why humans say the opposite of what they mean. Jake grinned. It keeps life interesting. Commander Zarath had volunteered to serve as a cultural advisor to the human fleet. The Vektari High Command had been surprised, but they approved. She was helping humans understand alien cultures. In return, humans were teaching her about their ways. It had not always been easy. Zareth was used to giving orders and having them followed without question. Human crews liked to discuss things. They asked why a lot. At first, this had frustrated her, but slowly she began to see the value in human methods. When the crew understood why they were doing something, they worked harder. They found better solutions. They cared more about the results. "Incoming message from Earth Command," the communications officer called out. Admiral Sullivan's face appeared on the main screen. She was now the head of human space operations. "Liberty, we have a situation. The colony ship New Hope has sent a distress signal. They're under attack by raiders in the Zeta sector." Captain Rogers leaned forward. "How long do we have?" "The New Hope has 500 civilians on board, including children. The raiders are demanding they surrender all cargo and supplies. If they don't comply in 2 hours, the raiders will start killing hostages." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. Raiders were the worst kind of criminals. They attacked defenseless ships and took whatever they wanted. "We're 12 hours away at maximum speed," Captain Rogers said. "The Vectari ship Blood of Stars is only 4 hours away," Admiral Sullivan continued. "But High Marshal Thekvar says they cannot help civilians. Their laws forbid interference in non-military matters." Jake looked at Commander Zareth. Her face was stone, but he could see conflict in her yellow eyes. "What about the other council races?" Captain Rogers asked. "The nearest ships are 6 hours away. By then, it will be too late." The screen went dark. The bridge was quiet. 500 people, Dr. Park said quietly, "including children." Commander Zareth stood very still. Jake could see her thinking. "Your people could save them," Jake said to her. "The Blood of Stars has enough firepower to destroy those raiders." "Our laws are clear," she said. "We fight military enemies. We do not protect civilians who are not our own. But their people, their families, I know." Her voice was tight. "But I cannot change thousands of years of tradition." Captain Rogers started giving orders. "Set course for the Zeta sector. Maximum speed. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we're on our way." Jake knew it was hopeless. Even if the Liberty pushed its engines to the breaking point, they would be too late. Those 500 people were going to die. An hour later, Jake found Commander Zareth in the observation deck. She was staring out at the stars. "You're thinking about the New Hope," he said. "Yes." She didn't look at him. "In my culture, we believe that strength protects strength. Warriors protect warriors. We do not waste our power on the weak. But you don't believe that anymore." She turned to look at him. "No. You humans have taught me something different. You believe that strength should protect those who cannot protect themselves, that the strong have a duty to the weak." "It's not just a duty," Jake said. "It's what makes us human. We save people because it's the right thing to do." Commander Zareth was quiet for a long time. Then she straightened up. "I must make a call." 20 minutes later, alarms started sounding on the bridge. Captain Rogers looked at his screens in confusion. "The Blood of Stars just changed course," he reported. "They're heading for the Zeta sector at full speed." Jake smiled. He had a feeling he knew what was happening. 2 hours later, they received another message from Earth Command. "The New Hope is safe," Admiral Sullivan announced. Her face looked amazed. The Blood of Stars arrived just in time. They destroyed 3 raider ships and captured the rest. All civilians are unharmed. The bridge crew cheered. Jake felt relief wash over him. "But that's not all," the Admiral continued. "High Marshal Thekvar has announced a new policy. The Vectari fleet will now respond to civilian distress calls in human space. He says humans have taught them that true warriors protect the innocent." Captain Rogers stared at the screen. "The Vectari are going to help protect our colonies?" "Yes, it's unprecedented. No warrior race has ever offered to protect civilians before." Jake found Commander Zareth later in the ship's library. "She was reading human history books. You convinced them," he said. "I told them what I learned from humans," she said. "That real strength is not about destroying enemies. It is about protecting friends." She looked up from her book. "I have been reading about your military history. Your soldiers often risk their lives to save people they do not know. This was very confusing to me at first, and now I think it is the most beautiful thing I have ever heard of." Jake sat down across from her. "So what happens now?" Commander Zareth closed her book. "Now we learn from each other. My people will teach humans about warfare and honor. Humans will teach us about compassion and sacrifice, and," She made that laughing sound. And maybe someday I will truly understand what you meant when you called me adorable. 3 months later, Jake was visiting a human colony world. He was walking through the marketplace when he heard a familiar voice. "Look at this," Commander Zarath was saying to a group of human children. She was kneeling down to their level, which still made her taller than them. In her 4 hands, she held a small sculpture. "Did you make that?" a little girl asked. "Yes. It is a traditional Vectari art form. We carve scenes of famous battles." The children gathered around her, fascinated. Jake smiled as he watched. The great Vectari warrior was being very gentle with the small humans. "It's beautiful," the little girl said. "You're really good at it." Commander Zarath looked pleased. "Thank you. That is very kind of you to say." The little girl thought for a moment. Then she smiled. "It's adorable." Commander Zarath went very still. Jake held his breath. Then Commander Zarath smiled. It was the biggest, most genuine smile Jake had ever seen on her face. "Yes," she said softly. "I think it is adorable too." Jake walked over to them. "Everything okay here?" Commander Zarath looked up at him. Her yellow eyes were bright with joy. "Jake," she said, "I finally understand. Adorable means something precious that you want to protect." "That's right," Jake said. She looked back at the children. "These small humans are adorable. My art is adorable. The way your people risk everything to help others is adorable." Jake laughed. "Now you've got it." Commander Zarath stood up and handed her sculpture to the little girl. "A gift," she said. "From an adorable alien to an adorable human." The little girl hugged the sculpture. "Thank you." As they walked away from the marketplace, Commander Zarath said, "I have learned many human words, but I think adorable is my favorite. Why? Because it means finding beauty in things that are small or gentle or kind. It means seeing strength and softness. It is a very human way of thinking." Jake nodded. "Yeah, I guess it is." "Jake," she said, "thank you for teaching me to be adorable." Jake laughed so hard he had to stop walking. "You're welcome, Zarath, you're welcome." Above them, human and Vectari ships flew together in the sky, protecting the colony world. 2 species that had once been strangers were now friends, all because one human had used the wrong word at the right time. And somewhere in the galaxy, other aliens were learning that humans were indeed adorable, in the best possible way.